All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down a piece of malware that acts less like a simple virus and more like a global business. We're talking about Beast ransomware, a really sophisticated threat that's actually out there recruiting partners for its criminal enterprise. Now, before we go any further, just a quick but super important note. All the information we're covering comes straight from a fantastic, in-depth threat analysis report by the Cyber Security Services team. We're here to unpack their incredible research for you. I know, it sounds a little wild, right? A subscription service for ransomware? But believe it or not, that's exactly the world we're living in when it comes to modern cybercrime. Just imagine being able to launch a major cyber attack without having to write a single line of code yourself. Well, that's the business model we're up against. And that brings us to this key concept, Ransomware-as-a-Service, or RaaS for short. The easiest way to think about it is like a dark franchise. You've got developers who create the malicious software, the product, and then they just lease it out to affiliates who actually carry out the attacks. This whole model just blows the doors wide open, making it easy for almost anyone to get into the ransomware game. And if you're thinking, no way, well, here's the proof. This is a real forum post where the Beast Group is advertising its RaaS platform. And just look at the languages they're using for recruitment: Russian, English, and Chinese. This tells you right away, this isn't some small-time crew. They're aiming for a global market of criminals. Okay, so we get the business model, but what about the product itself? What makes Beast so versatile and, frankly, so dangerous? Well, it all comes down to its toolkit, which is designed to hit a whole bunch of different platforms. Yeah, Beast really is an equal opportunity destroyer. The Windows version is written in C and uses a really powerful encryption combo of elliptic curve and ChaCha20. It's multi-threaded for speed, and it's specifically built to kill important services and delete your shadow copies. Meanwhile, the versions for Linux and ESXi built with C and Go are just as nasty. They have selectable encryption paths, a stealthy daemon mode, and can even shut down entire virtual machines before encrypting their files. And this right here, this is the secret sauce to their whole RaaS model. It's the offline builder. This tool lets their affiliates completely customize their attacks. So whether they're targeting a corporate Windows network, a storage device, or even a whole ESXi server farm, they can cook up a tailor-made version of Beast for that specific target. That makes their attacks so much more likely to succeed. So we've seen the business and we've seen the tools. Now let's play detective. Let's track this malware's every single move from the moment it lands on a machine. This is how Beast takes complete control. The very first thing Beast does is a little unusual. It checks for this simple signature: Beast here. Now, this isn't just a quirky name. It serves a really important technical purpose. You see, that string is used to create something called a mutex object. A mutex is kind of like a digital occupied sign. By creating this, the ransomware is basically checking if another copy of itself is already running on that system. It's a clever way to avoid encrypting files twice, which could corrupt them and mess up the whole ransom process. Beast is also really careful about where it attacks. It checks the system's language settings and its IP address. And if it realizes it's in a Commonwealth of Independent States or CIS country like Russia or Belarus, it just stops. It shuts itself down. This is a classic tactic used by these groups to avoid getting in trouble with law enforcement in their home countries. Okay, now this next move is particularly dirty. Windows has a legitimate tool called the Restart Manager. Its job is to safely close applications to prevent data loss. Well, Beast hijacks this trusted component and turns it into a weapon, using it to forcibly shut down any services that might have important files locked open. And what services does it target? Oh, you know, just the most critical ones. It goes after backup services like Backup Exec and Veeam Transport SVC, database services like MSS SQL Server and SQL Writer, and most importantly, VSS, the Volume Shadow Copy Service. That's Windows' built-in file recovery system. This isn't just locking the front door, it's disabling the alarm and melting down the spare keys. So, with the system's defenses totally crippled, Beast moves in for the final, devastating blow, wiping out any chance of recovery before locking down every valuable file it can get its hands on. To get rid of those volume shadow copies, Beast uses a two-step process. First, it runs a WQL query using IBUM Services exec query with the command select star from Win32 shadow copy. This basically just asks Windows for a complete list of all available backups. Once it has that list, it systematically calls IB WEM services delete instance for each one, wiping them clean off the system and making that recovery path totally impossible. To encrypt files as fast as it possibly can, Beast uses multi-threading. A main parent thread acts like a manager, finding files and handing them off to multiple child threads. These child threads all work in parallel, encrypting different files all at the same time. This approach dramatically cuts down the time it takes to lock up an entire system. And this is the aftermath. A folder once full of valuable files, now totally inaccessible, with a strange new extension. And of course, the attackers leave their calling card, that infamous ransom note dropped into every single directory, explaining what happened and exactly how to pay up. Okay, we've seen the damage Beast can do, and it is pretty scary. But it's not all doom and gloom. Let's pivot now from the threat to the solution. Here are the key recommendations from the Cyber Reason report on how you can defend against these kinds of attacks. The foundation of a good defense always comes back to the fundamentals. We're talking about promoting strong cybersecurity hygiene, enforcing multi-factor authentication, or MFA, and keeping a strict, timely patch management schedule. And crucially, you need to regularly back up your critical files, and this is the most important part, you have to test your ability to restore them. A backup you can't restore is useless. Now, for users of the Cyber Reason defense platform, the report gives some very specific, actionable steps. You'll want to set your anti-malware to prevent mode and your anti-ransomware to quarantine mode. And most importantly, you should enable specialized features like shadow copy protection, which directly blocks that backup deletion technique we just discussed, along with application control and variant payload prevention. And that's our breakdown of Beast ransomware. It's really a perfect storm of technical skill and a scalable criminal business model. Staying informed about threats like this is truly the first step in defending yourself. If you found this explainer useful, please subscribe and click that like button. Your support really helps us create more deep dives into the threats that matter. Thanks for watching.